New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
And once again, good evening to everyone here across the United States and also around the world. It is time once again for another fun-filled throwback to, and yes, always guaranteed edition of the Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am Reverend Michael Mangus, and I am broadcasting from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands of watts, in the extremely secure concrete bunker somewhere around Akron, Ohio, that is so top secret, not even my guest, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, knows where it's at. He'll probably tell you an address, but it's wrong. And especially who I don't tell is the Reverend Robert Brzezinski, our chief inspirational officer here. He thinks he knows, but he has no clue on where my super secret secure broadcast facility is located. Well, it's good to see everyone this evening. We are taping a little early because yours truly has a wedding rehearsal to go to. So if you'd like to go ahead and comment, please do so. Again, all my shy people out there, I know you're out there. You don't comment. You can always send me an email, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. So the purpose of our Fireside Chat is to talk about contemporary issues from a New Thought perspective. And as I keep saying week after week, I want us all to have a new thought about what is going on around us, not only here in the United States, but also globally. And you do not have to agree with me. I'm okay with that. But I want us to start thinking about how oneness plays a part in all of this. Well, back again, just because he has a wonderful guest and he works cheap. All the way from Tennessee, it is my friend, the Reverend Jeff Radcliffe. Jeff is an ordained divine science minister and also a former broadcaster. Always we have interesting conversations with Jeff, and let's see how many times he can correct me today. Probably a lot. All right, let's go to the news. Lots of stuff happening. It's been a month since we've done one of these, and man, lots of stuff going on. In the news from CNN, we find out again that at least 36 people have been killed in catastrophic wildfires raging across the Hawaiian island of Maui. Much of Lahaina, a tourist and economic hub of 9,000 people, has been destroyed, and hundreds of families have been displaced. And more than 270 structures have been impacted, including several historical sites, including a church that date back to the 1800s. And our prayers for peace and for comfort and I visualized the fires out. Also, that my thoughts are with the people of Maui. I did send a note. We do have a study group there in Maui. A note to Doug, who is associated with the Maui CSL study group, to tell him that we are praying for him and also the people of Maui. We have good news from my state, the state of Ohio. Ohio voters rejected on Tuesday an effort to raise the threshold to amend the state constitution ahead of a November referendum on whether to constitutionally guarantee abortion rights and also handling abortion right advocates say that this is a critical victory. Known as Issue 1, the measure would have changed the Ohio referendum law, lifting the threshold to amend the state's constitution from a simple majority to 60% of the vote. Now, the reason this is an issue is because that 57 to 58% of individuals in the state, Democrat and Republican together, favor abortion or legal abortion here in our state. Tuesday's referendum was broadly opposed by Democrats and also progressive groups. Republicans and also conservative issues and interests were split on the measure. GOP Governor Mike DeWine supported Issue 1, and DeWine told Ohio reporters in May, the concern is that people can come in, outside forces outside the state of Ohio, and spend a ton of money to try to impact that. And the better process is, frankly, through the legislative process. However, two former GOP governors, John Kasich and also Bob Taft, did oppose it. Kasich, who suffered a political setback when voters overturned a controversial anti-union law in 2011, said on Twitter in April that seeking to limit voters' say on public policy measures is wrong. Among his Republican challengers in the Democratic race for senator, the incumbent Democrat Senator Sherrod Brown, who's a Democrat, and again, his leading opponent is the Ohio Secretary of State, Frank LaRose, who is the state's election chief and also the highest profile proponent of Issue 1. In a video posted on Tuesday on Twitter, LaRose touted holding 76 events in favor of the measure. There's some of us in Ohio that are wondering, why is an elected official trying to get through a referendum? So as I explained to a minister this week before she voted, that Issue 1 in and of itself has nothing to do with abortion. Now, the news media is saying, okay, that it's going to be easier for any type of abortion referendum to get through. However, Issue 1 was strictly about amending the Constitution over the legislative process. Right now in Ohio, that both legislators, both the House and the Senate, are both Republican. So good for you, Ohio. You did a good job, 57% to 43%. Also in the news, from Montgomery, Alabama, two men were charged in connection with a brawl at a riverfront dock. They are in police custody, Alabama authorities say. A third man was also charged with third-degree assault in connection with the fight and also has turned himself in earlier. Video of the incident shows the brawl escalate after a black employee who was a crew member on the paddle boat was attacked by several men identified by the authorities as white. So this is what happened. Someone docked their boat at a space reserved for a commercial vessel, for a paddle wheel. A crewman, who just happened to be African American, told them to move, and that's when the fight broke out. So my question this evening is this: how do we react when we are in conflict? We are at choice if we allow ourselves to be. The individual who parked their boat in a restricted area was also at choice. The response could have been, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'll move it right away." So there is a spiritual response when we are in a conflict situation. So what helps me is to remember that we are all one, and also to allow myself to remain calm so that peaceful solutions can be found. Here's one of two stories that we will be talking with Reverend Jeff about. He was a top church official who criticized Trump, and he now says that Christianity is in crisis. Russell Moore was one of the top officials in the Southern Baptist Convention. When Donald Trump came on the scene, Moore criticized him publicly and found himself ostracized by many other evangelical leaders who embraced the former president. Also, Moore criticized the Southern Baptist Convention about its response to a sexual abuse crisis, which is going on now in their denomination. So in 2021, Moore found himself resigning from the post and on the outside of a denomination that he had up until that point defined his life. So what is the big deal here? Well, Moore's an author of a new book called Losing Our Religion. It's not out yet. I think it'll be out in a couple of weeks. Losing Our Religion, an altar call for evangelical America. So why does he think that Christianity is in crisis? Now listen to this. Moore said it was the result of having multiple pastors tell me essentially the same story about quoting the Sermon on the Mount in their preaching. So when they said, turn the other cheek, what happened was they had people come up to them to say, well, where did you get those liberal talking points? And what was alarming to me, Moore said, was that in most of those scenarios, when the pastor would say, I'm literally quoting Jesus Christ, the response would not be, I apologize. The response would be, yes, but that doesn't work anymore. That's weak. These are evangelical and also fundamentalist Christians who are going up to their pastors and saying this. And that's when we get to the point where the teachings of Jesus himself are seen as subversive to us, then we're in a crisis. So this is what he says is the solution. He says, I don't think we can fix it by fighting a war for the soul of evangelism. I really don't think that we can fix it at all at a movement level. And that's one of the reasons why when I'm talking to Christians who are concerned about this, my counsel is always small and local. I think we have to do something different and to show a different way. And as I see in history, every time that something renewing and revitalized has happened, it has happened that way, which is small and local. It happened at a small level when people simply refused to go with the stream of the church culture at the time. So he doesn't think that politics is a part of the problem. This is what he wrote. He says, I think that the root of the political problems really come down to disconnection, loneliness, and sense of alienation, even in the church. Those who are still healthy and functioning. Regular church going is not what it was a generation ago, in which the entire structure of the week was defined by community or going to church. So the age-old Christian advice from the New Testament Gospels is labeled as weak and outdated. Isn't that interesting? And again, this is from Bible-believing Christian fundamentalists and evangelicals. I think Reverend Jeff is going to have a couple of comments on that. Huh, Reverend Jeff? He's laughing in the background. All right. My final and favorite story of the week. Christian drag queen Flamey Grant's #1 album is a battle cry against terrible theology of the religious bigots. And this is from Entertainment Weekly. It says, the road to hell is paved with bruised egos of those who try to cross a drag queen. Now, we on this show, we have been warning you for months, is that you really don't want to be messing with drag queens. All right. Yes, you just don't want to be doing that because they may do something to you that you may not like. And again, the article continues. He says, though that mainstream TV has conditioned many to view the world of drag performances through the ever-present lens of RuPaul's Drag Race, Christian musician and drag artist Flamey Grant recent success story highlights a growing conflict for queer Americans living outside of the mainstream bubble. The North Carolina native saw a massive spike in sales after a public feud with an anti-LGBTQ singer and former conservative political candidate. Now, what happened is that Flamey went ahead and she had Derek Webb. She put him into drag for the pair's Boys Will Be Girls music video. Flamey, who said that the criticizer subsequently slammed the duo's work and attempted to downplay her career prospects, and guess what? It backfired, as Flamey's 2022 album, Bible Belt Baby, shot to #1 on the Christian iTunes chart, with the tune Good Day also topping the platform's Christian ranking. As evidenced by the contestants' personal stories and shows like Drag Race, religious upbringing can imprint lifelong repressive trauma on queer youth, as can the current culture of the anti-drag and anti-trans legislation that's sweeping American politics. It's estimated that there's close to 600 anti-LGBTQ legislative bills that have been put in front of state legislatures since the beginning of the year. So given those influences, Flamey understands the inherent conflict in her artistry. A drag queen performing music inspired by a religion that often ostracizes queer people can be a turnoff for both non-religious drag artists and also their right-wing foes alike. And therein, Flamey finds inspirational power. Now, just under 4 years into her drag career, Flamey has cut the ties with the evangelical church and has moved into progressive and also inclusive sects of Christianity. She even assists with her church's digital services during the pandemic, delivering services in drag and also performing in churches around the country. Although she boldly carries it, lifting that torch isn't easy. What I have to say is it's good for her. Good for her. I have been personally in contact with Flamey, trying to get her on the show for this week. And she told me that she is currently moving and she will be a guest here on the show sometime in mid-September. My question to all of you is this: when are we going to practice love as taught by all the spiritual masters? Something to think about this evening. Well, hi there. This is the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. In a moment, we'll have up special guest, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, who will be talking about the news and other things. So for some announcements here, this Sunday at Summit Spiritual Center of Akron will be musician Tim Morrow. He will be speaking on a topic inspired by New Thought minister and author Emmett Fox. So what you want to do is you want to go to summitcsl.org for more information on how to join the Zoom call. We have a great service. Our service is also simulcast on the Summit Spiritual Center of Akron Facebook page, and our Facebook page also has past broadcasts of the Fireside Chat, and also yours truly when he is praying on the New Thought Media Network, which is usually on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 10:15 Eastern Time, 8:15 Mountain Time. All right. We are doing wonderful things here at our network. And so we're lovingly asking you for your financial support. We have a few bills to pay here, including some travel expenses for us going to the Parliament of World Religions. Can you help us, please? For those of you who are donating, we really appreciate that. If you could give a special one-time gift, that would really, really help us. If you go to ntmedia.org/donate, again, you're able to give a very generous one-time gift, or for those of you who haven't taken advantage of it, please, please, please go ahead and become a monthly sustaining donor. Sustaining donors really help us to take this message to the world. We have so many doors that are open to us now. So many ministers who are asking to have programs on our network. So we're asking for your help and your support financially. So if you could help us, again, ntmedia.org/donate. Okay. On the other side of the break, we'll have the Reverend Jeff Radcliffe. Oh, we're going to have fun this evening. You're watching the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here, right here on your New Thought Media Network.
made in the image. I was made in the image of love. I was made in the image. I was made in the image of love. Here and now I can see I was made beautifully. I was made in the image. I was made in the image of love. Beyond books and words and songs, at the gate of all my longing, leaving certainty behind. I take one step and you come running.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
Jeff Radcliffe, we have nothing to discuss this evening.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely nothing. There's nothing in the news
No.
for us to talk about. Reverend Jeff Radcliffe is my guest this evening. Again, Jeff is becoming a regular here on the not only the New Thought Media Network, but also during the Friday evening fireside chat. Jeff, good to have you with us this evening.
Thank you. And like you said earlier, the reason I'm here so often is because I work cheap. Like I don't get anything. So there you go. And you said something else that here comes the correction. You said I was going to correct you on. I was not going to. After going through the drama that we had earlier, I could not get my camera, couldn't get my camera working, but we finally got it working. I thought to myself, I do not have any right to correct you on anything. But you said something that needs corrected.
Okay, go ahead.
In the story about the fires on Maui,
yes,
they have upped the death toll to 55.
Wow.
And from what I've read, so far, these are people that they have discovered that were outside of buildings.
Mm-hmm.
They have not yet gone through some of the burned out structures to see, who's in there. They do expect it to rise, but it has gone from 36 to 55.
Well, thank you very much. It's just incredible. And that, there wildfires can happen, not only in California, but also in Maui. Again, beautiful tropical place. I did send a note to our representative there. Doug runs a study group there for Centers for Spiritual Living. So I did send a note. I didn't hear a reply back, but where Doug's at, he's on the other side of the island.
Right.
But still that they're still, again, dealing with the wildfires there. So, again, our prayers of love and support. And the other thing, too, is, again, if you could consider giving a donation there. There are wonderful organizations that are helping the individuals who are burned out of their homes. And also there was a church, a 150-year-old church that was burnt down also. So, again, if you could help with that, that would be greatly appreciated. You're allowed to correct me, Jeff.
Well, I know, but I think I don't want to come across as being more knowledgeable than you, but I am more knowledgeable than you.
Yeah, you are in some areas. There you go. All right. Russell Moore coming out with his brand new book. And he's saying that people are going up to their pastors and saying stuff like, when you say turn the other cheek from the pulpit, they're saying, well, that is one of those liberal talking points. And instead of saying, after the pastor says, well, these are the exact words of Jesus, then rather than getting an apology, they're going, yes, but that doesn't work anymore. That's weak. Your comment Reverend Jeff Radcliffe.
Well, first of all, I have a lot of respect for Russell Moore because back in 2014, he denounced sexual conversion therapy, or where they want to deprogram gay kids to be straight. In other words, believe it or not, the exact phrase for this therapy is escaping me today. I'm having a brain cramp there, but he denounced that. So I have respect to him for that.
But go ahead.
Yeah, conversion therapy. Thank you. But that's about all the respect I have for him because
you mean it ends right there?
Yeah, pretty much. He was one of the signers of the Nashville Statement back in 2017, I think, which talked about women not having a place of authority in the church. They were putting out the statement that marriage is between one man and one woman only. If you're not married, don't be doing the hibbity-dibbity with anybody. And they also made mention of the fact that they believe that acceptance of the LGBTQ plus community, and especially of trans people, is sin, and it is a non-negotiable point, and they will not allow others of different religious persuasions to, quote unquote, agree to disagree. So they are very hardwired with their hatred and their bigotry.
So you're saying that I don't think I'm going to see them at the Parliament of World Religions this week?
You might.
Okay.
Now, I don't think he's not head of the Southern Baptist Convention anymore, I don't believe.
No, he's the editor-in-chief of Christianity Today.
Right. Well, he used to also be, But anyway, you may see some of them there. I don't know. But and not to get into Flamey Grant early, but I saw this quote from her on another an article that I was reading, and it ties right in with this, where she said evangelicals like to think they own the religion and get to decide who's in or out.
Yes.
And you know what? It doesn't work that way. We are part and parcel of one single mind, one single entity. Call it God, call it spirit, call it the universe, call it whatever you want to. There's only one of them.
Right.
And what they're wanting to do is separate people, and you cannot separate a single entity. You can't do it. And that's what they're trying to do. And
their definition of Christianity, that again, they take a few verses out of the Bible and they're saying, well, homosexuality is a sin. I think it was Pope Francis this week said that LGBTQ members are welcome in the Catholic Church. However, they can't receive the sacraments.
Mm-hmm.
Why go?
Separate but equal. It didn't work for Black people in this country. It's not working for queer people in the Catholic Church, especially coming from a man who looks fabulous in that dress he wears. Don't you think? You
mean from Flamey?
No, Pope Francis.
Oh, okay.
I mean, let he who is without heels cast the first stone. And he's,
Could you, hold it. Could you say that again, please? Go ahead.
Oh, let he who is not in heels cast the first stone?
Yes.
So I should probably amend that. I shouldn't have used the word heels. I should have said the dress, a gown, whatever he wants to call that thing he's wearing.
Pope clothes.
I have a lot of respect for Pope Francis. So, I would like to think that he wouldn't mind us poking him playfully just a little bit.
Well, Pope Francis has come out in support of civil marriages for LGBTQ individuals. But again, that he draws the line as far as with church participation. And again, why go to church if you are not allowed to receive communion? You're not allowed to be in full communion with the church. Again, and I have a friend of mine who's Catholic and also gay. And he receives a whole lot of flack. And he receives communion. And boy, I'll tell you what, he got ripped a new one on social media by a local realtor who went ahead and took offense to something that he said online. So, some have to kind of stay behind and work on the issue. So, Sean, if you're watching out there, hi. Sean's one of my Facebook friends. So,
but
go ahead.
Yeah, the whole the quote that you read about Jesus' teachings being weak. Well, we got to own the libs. They're woke. And yeah, it's weak. It's lame. What can you say? Because they are not Christians anymore. Those people are Trumpists.
Right. And that's their religion.
Yeah. That is their religion. And so,
Well, let's see how many of these men, pastors, have some balls, and go ahead and throw some of these people out, excommunicate them. Because this is clearly idolatry, what they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
As far as their beliefs in Jesus. So anyhow, so let's talk about something a little more pleasant here. Flamey Grant.
I have to tell you, I was listening to the album earlier. I have not listened to every song on it yet. And it's been out since November, I think. The song Good Day is one that ripped me to pieces. And I've got the lyrics pulled up because what she said in the song mirrors my experience when I came out and went back home to West Virginia. Well, I was out when I was in West Virginia, but when I went back to my hometown, the people, would not talk to me from the church that I had been attending and had preached in. I had delivered Sunday messages there. I delivered Wednesday night messages there. Saw some really wonderful things going on there. But after word got out, and I did not make it any big secret that I was gay, but I didn't parade it either.
Mm-hmm.
But in the song, Flamey goes, "You sent me away, but I was never alone." And for the longest time, I did feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I discovered New Thought and started first with a Unity study group that I felt like I belonged. And that is when I knew that I was not alone, not isolated from people, but certainly not isolated from God within.
And also not isolated from your calling to ministry.
Exactly.
And again, you said that you lost your license to preach in the Pentecostal church also.
Well, that was, I was in an independent church at that time. So it really, I didn't need a license with them. So, but they just kind of sort of, said, don't come back. Don't come visit us at the church anymore. Don't talk to us. And from then on, every time I'd see him when I was going down the street or met him in the grocery store, they just ignored me. And okay, well, that's fine. It's part of that love your neighbor as yourself thing that's kind of weak, you know. It's
Well,
that.
also that whole shunning thing too.
Yeah,
That Paul talked about.
yeah. That was. I felt so Amish when that was going on. But I will tell you this. I saw this. I posted it on my Facebook last night. I saw an article written by an Episcopal priest that was about a dozen years old, but it's still applicable to today. So I was on his blog, and he had a disclaimer on it, and so I zipped him off an email like right then and there and said, you know what? Can I use this as on my Facebook page? I'll adapt it to me, but I'd like your permission to use this first. And he said, yeah. And so basically, I adapted his disclaimer and made it my own, which says, as an ordained minister, I can often say stupid and sometimes perhaps inappropriate things. So you should know that my thoughts and opinions do not reflect the spiritual organizations of which I am a part, and I listed them all. So, just kind of like what you do on your show. I put that disclaimer up, and I think that's I think it's probably a good one, because I know that there are times when we all exhibit unskilled behavior from time to time, and I've never been one to mince words, and I shoot from the lip, and sometimes it gets me into trouble. Yeah. So that's why when somebody requests my friendship on Facebook or follows me somewhere, I tell them, I said, you're going to see some things on there that's going to tick you off or it's going to offend you. If you're going to be easily offended, you might as well just leave now. No harm, no foul. That's cool. So
we're talking this evening with Reverend Jeff Radcliffe here on the Friday's Fireside Chat. I am Reverend Michael, and we are talking about some of the stories of the week. Flamey Grant going to #1 on the Christian iTunes charts. How about that?
How about that? How cool is that? And what's funny is Lauren Boebert's current boyfriend, who is and I can't pronounce his name, Fleabert, Fugit. I don't know what his name is.
I can't either, so I didn't try.
Yeah. Goes on his I guess it was Twitter, I guess they call it X now or something like that. And they would say, you're nothing, you're nobody. Nobody listens to your kind of music. Well, guess what? People were listening. People went to check this drag queen out and found out that the music was awesome. And before you know it, #1 on the charts. Who could add? And it reminded me of, I believe it was Joseph in the book of Genesis, after his brothers had tried had sold him into slavery and whatnot. And he goes, well, you were thinking bad things about me, but everything that you thought and everything that you tried to do evil toward me, God turned it around for good.
Right.
And that was the first thing that came to my mind. And I can't wait when she finally comes onto the show, because I have to be there for that. And
of course. Well, that's one of the reasons I invited I invited Flamey to be on, is because again, I think that but she was very very nice in the email, and she said she'll join us in mid-September. So I thought that was really nice.
Yeah. So and she was actually in Nashville a couple of weeks ago. Derek Webb, who sings on that song and had helped her on some of the other songs on her album, had just put out an album of his own. And I think you talked about that, where she puts him into drag as in part of the video.
Yeah.
Well, he had his CD release party a couple of weeks ago, and she was here for that. And so unfortunately I didn't get a chance to, I didn't know at the time, so I missed it. But yeah, she was.
We'll have to get you a press pass for next time.
I'm telling you. I need to keep my finger a little more on the pulse of what's going on locally these days, because I'm kind of, ever since COVID, and then I took that fall back in November and spent time in rehab. I've just been kind of hanging out here at the house, and so I am sorely out of touch with everything local that's going on. So need to get back.
Yeah, and we support Amy Grant, and I think it's so funny again, just the whole idea of a queer Amy Grant.
Well, and of course everybody knows that Vince Gill and Amy Grant are very LGBTQ friendly. They talked about having gay people in their family, in their extended family. So they're very. If you were going to call yourself by a drag name, what better Christian artist to do it than Amy Grant?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the other artists in Christian music, if they swing kind of toward the liberal side of things, they keep their opinions to themselves. Because we saw what happened to the Dixie Chicks when they spoke out.
Jars of Clay too.
Jars of Clay. So yeah, there are accepting and affirming people in that music genre, but they tend to keep things very close to their chest, because
again,
haters are out there.
Christian music is huge business, and that they're huge business. Even the Educational Media Foundation, which is out of California, they own billions, and I mean billions of dollars of broadcast properties around the country here. They have almost total saturation. They have 2 stations here in the Akron area. So again, it's big business that when an individual goes ahead and says that they're LGBTQ friendly, or even, again, that's what happened with the Jars of Clay singer and songwriter, is that he went ahead and he said, shouldn't we be dealing with something else rather than being against individuals? He ended his career with the Christian music industry. So,
and oh my gosh, I just thought of his name and I lost it. Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks, also very LGBTQ friendly. He actually had a song a few years ago, and I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. I can research it though. Talking about loving, we love who we love, and it's okay.
Yes.
And he caught flack by saying, you know what, if you don't want to, with the Bud Light controversy, he said, I've got my own business, and we're going to serve it, and we're going to let anybody who wants to have it. And if they're LGBTQ, that's fine too. We got no problems with that. So mad respect for Garth Brooks.
Yeah. All right, let's get into another topic. I told you about this yesterday, but I wanted to talk about it today. When I was at International New Thought Alliance at Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale,
right?
Shad Groverland, who is he's the head of Unity Ministries Worldwide. He is their CEO. Shad said some interesting things that we've been thinking about here at the network. And one of the things that he said was, he says that social media is set up to make us more lonely and discouraged. Real people are being harmed by all the algorithms that are out there. Again, that he says that social media is shaped so that, again, that it's addictive. And so what he was doing is he was questioning even our use of social media in New Thought. And he was also talking about the explosion of AI, that we may have, what has happened in society is when they don't have a God, they make an idol. So we have made maybe an idol in artificial intelligence. So I went ahead, and this is also on our, if you're a member of our community platform, which is on Mighty Networks, our Chief Inspirational Officer, Reverend Robert, he was there with me when Shad gave this talk. And I've been thinking about it, and the whole idea, and I talked about this at our Sunday service a few weeks ago. Human connection is still the healthiest connection. I agree with that. Spiritual community is still important. I agree with that. And that I'm a member of several prayer groups, communities online of individuals who I've gotten to know over the years, especially during COVID, being online. So, I mean, I get what Shad is saying about the whole idea of using social media to get connection. However, I don't think it's going to be the connection that, the in-person connection. I mean, how do I have in-person connection with Shay in Colorado? How do I have in-person connection with Jarrett down in South Africa? I may not have that connection, but I think on our network, how our network is set up is that we form communities based upon our programming, and that a lot of times the questions that we get in the chat, the hosts use for their show. They just blend them right in the show. Your thought about social media and New Thought, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe.
There are a lot of people right now, myself included. I include myself in this category because right now it is how it is. I'm temporarily housebound, and there are a lot of other people who are out there who do not have a way to be out into the community and participate. In that respect, social media is a darn good thing. But I see where Reverend Chad was going. It is an addictive thing, and we see that in our children. We see it in adults as well. People who've got that phone or that computer on 24/7. It's in their face all the time. But in-person connection, that's good. Personal connections at all are good. But social media has come around to a place where we can interact with each other live as well. Yes. Zoom or I believe Yahoo, Gmail have platforms, meeting platforms. So it's not like we may not be in the same room, but we're still sharing time and space figuratively. So,
So what do you think about Chad saying that because of the platform that we're on, that maybe we shouldn't be on the platform?
I disagree. I've got a lot of people who follow me. God knows why I don't. Like I said, I can be offensive. I can be foul-mouthed sometimes. I can be opinionated as all get out. But I also try to remember that we are all expressions of the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to encourage people. I'm a spiritual cheerleader, basically. And I told that to actually a minister on Kauai who was in a group with me on Zoom. And we were in a breakout room and we were talking about what it is that we do. And that's me. My job is as a spiritual cheerleader. I can't do that from my house except through social media.
Yeah, and so and that's been with the people. You should have been in the car after we were done going back to the hotel. We had a very vigorous discussion about how our network is set up, and that again on our social media platform, on our community platform, I went ahead and said what I said to you, which is basically is that we do have community on New Thought Media Network, that we do form community, that we are there for our people, and that it is, again, it's online, but, if it wasn't online, then, you and I couldn't be having this conversation,
Yeah, exactly.
my friend Shay from Colorado, we wouldn't be able to connect, and we have connected over the phone. So again, I think it's, I hear Reverend Shad's concern, and I think that especially on this network that we're taking steps to make sure that we don't keep people isolated and alone. So
Right.
You're not going to believe this.
We're almost out of time. I know.
We're almost out of time.
That's why I just want to leave with this little thought, and we can pick this up another time. Social media, good. Artificial intelligence makes me very uneasy. We can talk about that another time.
All right. Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, thank you for being my friend and being willing to come on our show. Yeah. Lots of interesting news, huh? But I am working on Flamey Grant.
Okay.
I think that'll be wonderful. Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, thank you so very much. We are all out of time, folks. So if you could, again, help us out here at the New Thought Media Network, go to our donate page, ntmedia.org/donate. We do have bills to pay, especially in the summertime with us going to conferences. We would appreciate your help because, again, that we do get partial funding for when we go out. However, it doesn't really cover all the bills. So again, if you could help us out, especially with our summer fund drive, ntmedia.org/donate. On behalf of all of us here at the New Thought Media Network, I am Reverend Michael Mangus, and I'm going to wish you a wonderful week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.